Hey, it's me, Coach T, checking in real quick, and I do mean real quick. Welcome back to Take 5 with Terra. I know it's been a while since I've been here, and I said I was going to make the video last week, but delay does not mean denial. It just means that intentions are great, but things come to shift you and kind of throw you off schedule. But today I was like, I am determined to get this video done. So, happy Monday evening. We are wrapping up 2025, and I was out and about today, and I was like, girl, you are not going home and take those clothes off. You're going to keep on your clothes, because that is what's going to make you stick to your word about getting your video done. So welcome to Take 5 with Terra. We are wrapping up 2025, and it has been a while since I've been here to do a video. But I am back, and I'm happy to see you. I hope you're happy to see me, and I'm happy to share and talk about and do the things that God has given me to talk about and to share with you. That was redundant, huh? But anyway, but you know what I mean. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy that you're here. So please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, follow, and all the things that come along with being on social media, YouTube, and all the things. Thank you, because the more you share or comment, the more I will, get into the algorithms and the feed. We all know that algorithms are like the thing now. So once you like something or comment on it, that topic or that thing or that person, that's what you're going to see most of. So I don't want you to see me the most, but I want you to see me often, if that makes sense. But if something I say or share or give or tips, tools, or whatever helps you, then of course I want you to see me the most, because I want to help you grow and glow and all the things the same way these things help me. So I am happy to be here. I'm happy that you're here. So let's jump into it. As I mentioned last week in my shorts, that I was toiling with the topic. Well, no, just thinking back and forth, not really toiling about what should I do. And every time I deviate from what God gave me to share and talk about, He'll bring me right back to it, based on the circumstance, the situation, my own feelings and emotions, someone I'm close to, family friend or whatever, anybody, just, see someone on TV and just hearing people talk about what they're experiencing, what they're going through, how they're feeling, it all goes back to that one word, grief. And my grandmother passed December the 3rd, 2023. And when I tell you my life has been totally different since then, I mean, totally. I know my dad passed in 2009, that did something to me or shifted me some kind of way. And it did. But the impact of losing my grandmother, I mean, they don't compare, but I'm just saying the impact of how that affected me. I don't know if it's because so much of time had passed with my dad, and I still grieve him, and I still miss him, and all the things. I think it just got easier with time. But I've had more time with her since his passing, and just thinking about the dynamics of all the time, intentionality, me going to be with her, spend time, and hang out and do whatever, just because, and the fact that we celebrated her birthday, her 81st birthday, like that October, and then to think that December 3rd she's gone. I mean, it was quite devastating, and the pattern was the same. It took about 6 months for me to really get it together. Just make a decision that I got to do something different. Same thing with my dad, but it still took a toll. It is emotional roller coaster. There's ebbs and flows. There's up and downs. I mean, you really feel like you're on the Six Flags, a ride at Six Flags or one of the other parks, and you're trying to figure out, like, how do I get out this ride? And the thing about it is, grief is not linear. If there are no steps to it, it's not like you do this, then this, then this, and then you're over it. You don't. You have to learn to live with it. You have to grow through it. You have to acknowledge your feelings. You have to don't deny your feelings. You have to validate them. You have to give yourself grace. You have to give other people grace. You just have to learn to just be in it until you start getting the strength to be in it or live with it while being in it. And the thing about grief also is, grief does not ask for permission. It does not ask for permission to show up. It just is unexpected. And that first year is very difficult because of all the first. the memories and all the things. We're dealing with the ambivalence. We think we're dealing with the devastation, the disbelief. What this was supposed to happen, that was supposed to happen, what we thought that would happen. I mean, sometimes it could be devastating, if it's a sudden loss. Sometimes it's an anticipated loss. We kind of prepare for it. I mean, even with grief, the thing about grief also is that it may be a disenfranchised grief, type of grief. It may not be the actual physical loss of someone, but the loss of a dynamic, family dynamic, the way it used to be, based on a decision, or it could be any kind of decision. It could be a divorce. It could be something unexpected. It could be, something happens and, you don't quite expect it to happen to you, but it does, and it changes your family dynamics. We know about divorcing. We know about physical loss, but even like, our parents declining or the health of a loved one, those grief comes in all different forms with that. And having to accept that this is the change, having to accept that this is what it's going to be versus what you thought it would be. We all know about the cycle of life and, how things, it like kind of continues to go in this circle. We, live, we rebirth, we're born, we live through, and we die, and it's like a rebirth, and we see it through, it's literal and a figurative type thing, you know what I mean? It could be, so that's another conversation for another day, but that cycle of life, we know that. Also, the Bible talks about there's, to everything, there's a season, born, season to be born, season to die, season to mourn, to cry, season to laugh. But grief is definitely heavy. Grief can, it can definitely take a toll on you. And the thing about it is you have to be mindful of what it is. It doesn't ask for permission, like I mentioned. It just shows up. It don't matter where you are. You could be at work. You could be driving down the street. You could be in the grocery store. You could be talking to friends. You could be watching something. You have all these different triggers. It could be a smell. It could be a song. It could be a food. It could be the anniversary of an event, the type of event. It does not matter, it doesn't ask you for permission. It just does what it wants to do. And our goal or our job is to just acknowledge it, give ourselves grace, give others grace, spend time with people who can empathize with you, not just sympathize with you, because if a person has not experienced what you were experiencing, I mean, even all the way down to loss of a pet. Some people are like, you crying over that dog? You crying about? But if you've ever lost a pet, meaning like literally lost it, dog got away, somebody took it, or had to put it to sleep or whatever, then that pain is what? Relatable, right? So they can empathize with you. But the sympathize, oh, I'm sorry that happened. But you want to be around people who can empathize with you, who can help you while you sit in your pain, but grow through it, Therapy is definitely, it's taboo, and, well, I don't think it's as taboo as it used to be. Some people say, but like, I ain't talking to no stranger, but it's very therapeutic. I mean, play on words, therapy, but it's very helpful. It helps you realize things about yourself and other people, you know what I mean? But it helps you get through that process. It's a safe space as you get through that process, because sometimes people will not always understand the impact that grief has on you. And you want to make sure that it doesn't get to the point where it's like a debilitating grief, you know what I mean? And I wrote down the different types. So we have disenfranchised grief, which is like, dynamics change due to some decisions or actions of others. Ambiguous loss was kind of like feeling different about it. You got the conflicted loss grief, where it's like, you angry, you sad, you mad, you just all these different things because you love this person or whatever, but it's like, oh, you disappointed in it. So that is one. It's conflict, just what it says. You got the normal grief where it subsides over time. You got the complicated grief where it's prolonged and it can be debilitating. And that's the one that you want to be careful of, because the complicated grief is what begins to affect us mentally, physically. Of course, we're affected emotionally, but it shows up in our bodies. It shows up in our health, shows up in our mind, how we deal with people, how we may become like recluse. So you will be mindful of that. The anticipatory grief is, we know it's coming. We just, you know, it's like when you know you're gonna lose someone per se, but you kind of prepare yourself for it, but it still hits, right? And it hits. So you got the delayed grief, the one that just, you know, the reaction shows up later, you know, services later, because you got to just move through with the decisions, whatever you got to do. So that delayed grief, and that can be definitely tough because it'll hit you like a bag of bricks, and you'd be like, woof, where they come from? But so you can't bottle it up and pretend, pretend, for lack of words, it doesn't exist, because it does. That loss is real. It hurts. It's different. It's permanent. The person's not coming back, or that dynamic is no longer the same. That new sense of normalcy, you got to learn how to navigate what you have now and how to get to that new sense of normalcy. You got that, you got cumulative grief where multiple things happen at once. You got traumatic grief when it's horrific. We've seen it on TV and just different things with family. Then you get collective grief when we, as a community, grieve together. But as I wrap this up, now y'all know Take 5 with Terra. The goal is to be 5 minutes, but hey, this is my first time back in a while. And if it goes a little over, just goes a little over. But I hope the content is good. It is feeding you the right way, and it's helping you mentally, emotionally, spiritually. But this is what I want to say: grief and gratitude. Grief is not linear. Grief is like a roller coaster ride at Six Flags. It has many ups and downs, and it's definitely at times, feels like you are going forwards and backwards, flipping and spinning as you try to come to grips with this definite thing, this finite thing in your life. Your loved one, regardless of their role, is no longer here. And it's so definite, like unbelievable and paralyzing all at the same time. We have all heard about the circle of life, which means that all living things are interconnected in a continuous cycle of both growth, death, and rebirth. This can be, as I said, literal or figuratively speaking, but that's a conversation for another day. Just like life isn't linear, neither is our grief. I want to reiterate that. Healing from loss isn't a straight, predictable path with these steps in it, with stages. You just get through it and then, all right, in order, okay, you're healed, you recovered. No, it's not like that. Grace does not ask for permission, as I mentioned that. Is this fine? Can I come now? I know you're at work, but I want to show up. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Are you busy? Because if you are, I'm going to come back. No, it's not like that. And it's like when you're dealing with grief, I know those first months when my grandmother passed, it was like, look, I knew I had to get up and do what I had to do, but I left my bed unmade, that little where I laid. So I went to work, did what I did, and I came home and got right in that bed. And that was just a cycle. I only communicated with certain people. And I would check in, but like close friends, certain people, it was just certain people I just was around because that's just what I needed to do, and that's who I feel like will understand and not expect me to be who people think I am. And I mean, when I said, I mean like the strong one, or she can get over it, or she always bounce back, she's so resilient, Baby, look, I was going through it, you hear me? And it took a while to get normalcy, and at times it's still not, because I have not been the same since. I mean, I'm good, but I haven't been the same. How I look at things, view things, do things, it's just different. And it's like, so it's, again, it's not linear. It's nothing that that goes away overnight. It's been 2 years. It's literally just hit 2 years, and it's still, my dad's been gone for a while, but there's certain times I feel like it was yesterday. My grandmother, this time, it felt like it had just happened yesterday. 2 years have passed, but it felt like yesterday on December the 3rd. I'm at work like, oh, why are my eyes sweating like this? I'm just tissue and I'm trying to keep it up. I'm like, don't ruin my reputation, you know what I mean? I'm trying to, got to keep up this persona with these kids, you know what I mean, the students. But anyway, my point is, it doesn't ask permission. And you have to pull it together leave the room, do whatever until you can get in the place where you can just let it out. And then sometimes it hits and you laugh about it. That's why I said that you're grateful, you happy for the memories you just like, oh God, I'm so glad I was able to live this amount of years with my grandmother in my life or my dad in my life. Because you know people who didn't get that many years. I know people who didn't get 40-something years with their grandmother. 48. Yeah, I was almost 48. 40, I'll be 50, but you didn't get that many years. People who didn't get to be 30-something years old with their parent. You know what I mean? So that's the part where the gratitude comes in. And it doesn't make it, make it any less effective as far as how it impacts you. But the flip side of it is, it's not downplaying the fact that no one had the same amount of years, but the longer you have with them, then the more it seems to hurt, if that makes sense. The depth of it, your love, and to continue to grow and build and have these relationships, that is what makes it even harder, And then when you're making these plans and this and that. Like when my dad passed, it was difficult because we talked about these plans. I mean, like the month, like this day, and he was in a coma that day, like Tuesday to Friday. So I've talked about that before, but my point is, and then when you were looking at legacy and moving forward and how do you carry on this vision that God gave you, or he shows you through through your grandmother, for me per se, like how do you navigate that? Like what am I supposed to do with this? Like I don't, how, because not just because she's not here, but she's not here. So how things look when she was here and doing the things, it looks totally different. It's very weird here, like very weird. You got to stay connected. It's weird. So how do you navigate that? So my point to that is, again, it's not linear. It's something that a daily task, a thing that you daily, weekly, that you constantly, outside of navigating your normal life and the normal things in your life, but you're asking yourself, like, how do I navigate this? And the more it gets into your spirit, or kind of, rises up in you, it's like, okay, I'm supposed to be like what? And it may not always look like exactly like what that person did or how they did it, but it still, should look, you feel like it should look a certain way. So that's another story for another day. But my point for bringing it up is that it's not linear, and you have to give yourself grace. And if the right people are connected to you, the right people are listening to you, the right people the people that know you, then they will understand that grief is taking a different effect on you. And no one can force you, you can't force anyone else to take certain measures or precautions, but we have to do our due diligence with continuously encouraging that person to get out the house. Hey, let's go have lunch. Let's get some ice cream. Have you called your therapist? Have you looked into a grief counseling group? Have you journaled? Have you done something to help channel your grief in a different direction so that it won't impact you mentally more so than not, even more mentally rather. And then because it begins to show up in our physical. And then when we deal with loss after loss after loss, like almost back to back to back, it really has an impact. And it does affect us. So it's important that if you're the one that hears and listens, or you're connected to people, reach out when they come into your spirit. It's important for you to reach out to people when you feel some kind of way. Hey, everybody should have somebody or somebody's that they can be like, hey, I ain't feeling too right. Or, hey, I'm all right, but I'm just down. And they let you get it out. And, again, sit with you in it, not trying to fix it, because you can't. You can't. So, because it's unpredictable. It's very unpredictable, full of waves and loops and setbacks. You think you found a day, and tomorrow you not. You okay today, you in disbelief the next day. You just devastated the next. It is just what it is. So, and it can resurface unexpectedly. Think you figure, like I said, my day could be years. Father's Day come around, this past Father's Day, it was different. But what gave me solace was watching my wedding video. People like, what? But because when my dad passed, what we have now with technology and all that, 2009, I have hella pictures, but videos and hear his voice and all those different things. I got a couple of VHS that I got converted, but just with my grandmother, as long as she was here, we got videos. Phones like computers now, but with my dad, phones really just came out. You can text, send a picture, got your voicemail, but to hear him and to see him and do that, I'm crying through it, but it made my heart smile. It lifted the heaviness that I was feeling at that time. So as I wrap this up, let me just say that, and in those feelings, it just shows the depth of your love. So don't try to change that feeling, because that just lets you know how the depth of love you have for that person or that situation. You know, I talked about our triggers, and you just understand that grief doesn't follow a logic. Like I said, it could be years, and one day it can hit you. You could be laughing, driving down the street talking and laughing, listen to a song, and then boom, here it is. So just have to give yourself grace. Be patient with yourself and others. Validate your feelings. Accept the ebbs and flows, the ups and downs, the ins and outs of it. You know, seek support. Like I said, therapy. Those who can relate, those who can empathize, not just sympathize. Those who will sit with you in it and not just try to fix it, but will also encourage you. You have to encourage yourself. You know, the thing is this, you want to integrate grief. Grief isn't about getting over it, but it's about learning to carry the loss, the change, the decline, and live alongside it. It is about finding a new meaning, adjusting to a new normal, and a new way of existing while still in it. That is what grief is. So I would like to just encourage you, again, to give yourself grace. Understand that grief has different levels, the different stages. They're not linear either. They don't go in this order. They can be all rearranged. It's just like 10 stages of it. Give yourself grace. Talk to God about it. Pray about it. And one thing that I really believe in more than anything, laughter is the best medicine. Laughter is God's natural healer, and it is good for the soul. So, while you're navigating grief through the holidays, through the memories, through the anniversaries, through all the things, no matter what type of grief it is, while you're doing that, make time to give yourself grace to others, talk to God, write to God, you know, do things that are going to lift your spirit and let your higher self win. And I was watching the podcast last night, and I heard DC Young Fly was talking about how he prays every time, because he's like, I'm not okay. You know, we know or are aware of the situation, the story. We don't know all the details, but we're aware of, you know, the things that happen. And he said, because I don't want to go in here and crash out when I just want to go buy eggs. And that just made a lot of sense. So it's like, it ain't that you're trying to be so heavily bound, you know, earthly good, but I'm like, I'm still dealing. I'm still reeling. I'm still navigating this. So before please let me just go in the store, let nobody come at me, do da-da-da-da. Just want to buy these eggs and go home. And that's real. That's real, but it's simple, but it's real, and it's true. And that's what you have to do. Talk to him like you do others. But again, I encourage you to just, you know, give yourself grace as you move through the holidays and all the other things. But holidays seem to be harder, because holidays bring a lot of sadness to people for various reasons, because these two holidays that we live with, Thanksgiving and where we are now, Christmas, it really does weigh heavily, because that's when family gatherings and all the things. You know, we got Mother's Day and all other, Father's Day and all that, and that is important, but it's more like, you know, designed to celebrate that person. But with Christmas, Thanksgiving, and, you know, all the other holidays that bring families together, it just hit a little different. So I just encourage you to, Again, give yourself grace. Feel what you feel. Validate your feelings. And if you know you're not in the mood, don't try to force yourself to be in the mood. Because at the beginning, honey, listen, it can change. You can be like, I'm good. I'm going out. And you will be like, I ain't going nowhere. And that's okay too. But just be mindful and cognizant of the fact that after a certain amount of time, you want to encourage yourself. You encourage yourself to accept the invite, especially with the right person. Accept the invite, extend the invite. Do the things that make you happy. It's going to lift your spirits. Connect to those who understand you. Aren't looking for you to be this, like I said, me strong, resilient. She always bounces back. She always got a prayer. She got some. That people who be like, look, she need us. She needs to lean on us right now, as opposed to us leaning on her. You want reciprocation, but you also just want to be able to just be as you're navigating. And then people who can't understand that, it would change the dynamics of your relationship with those people. And that's grief too, because you have to accept that this is just not what it was. That season is over. You don't have to fall out with a person. You don't have to be like this whole big mind. It's just a thing where you realize that right now I can't be the cup filler. I need to fill my cup or keep my cup full. So if they're not pouring back into you, you just have to take a break. You have to put them over there to the side for a second. And then when, you know, if it come back around, it come back around. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that you don't love them that you love them any less. It just means that you love yourself more. So with that being said, this has been Take 5 with Terra, the extended version. I'm happy to be back. Thank you for joining me. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and follow. I hope that something I said encourages you as you navigate these next 2 holidays, Christmas and New Year's. And hopefully throughout the year you have time to shed and get rid of things or move things or get a new perspective about things that no longer serve you, that no longer benefit you, that no longer fill your cup, that no longer feed you the way you need, because our appetites, our taste buds, our palates change. And when people, things, and places aren't changing and evolving with you, it's okay to let it go. It is okay to let it go. Celebrate the history, but be okay with the fact that it's not your destiny. With that being said, have a great and wonderful night. I will see you soon. Appreciate you so much. Thank you for sticking with me. I'm back, baby. Take 5 with Terra. It's me, Coach T. I checked in. It was real quick. But no, it wasn't real quick. But I just thank you for it, for real. It was me, Coach T, checking in. Have a great and wonderful night. God bless. Goodbye. Happy holidays.